this is Elmir, and I just bought my first classic Volkswagen Beetle. This is a 1971 Volkswagen Super Beetle, which does deserve some attention mechanically and cosmetically, which I will get into more detail in a little bit. So if you currently own a classic Volkswagen, please leave a comment below with any tips or suggestions that will be helpful to me, to somebody who's very new to these cars. I've never worked in these cars, never driven one before. I know that it's slow, that it doesn't have air conditioning or airbags or any of the modern safety features except for seat belts. The first thing you may have noticed is that looks like a fire. There was some kind of accident there. So this engine did catch on fire, but I feel like it extinguished the fire on time. And the engine works fine from what I've told. So that's only what I'm worried about. This can be repainted. This is not major, still functional. I can even drive it like that. I need to repaint this rear deck lid. Also remove the rust on the rear bumper, also the front bumper as well. And I'll probably try to remove the rust on these exhaust tips, or I may just get new ones. They're pretty cheap. So the engine actually hasn't been started probably in about 10 years or so. That's what the owner told me. So you can see there's a lot of debris here. I don't know if this is actually, so maybe at one point like a rat nest or mouse nest. I'm not sure what it was, but everything seems to be, you know, in place. The engine does turn. I actually tested this engine before buying the car. I've always had interest in cars, especially classic cars like this Beetle, and I know to most people it doesn't make sense wanting an old classic Volkswagen, but here's why I like it. I like the way that it looks. It has a very unique shape. It's a very happy car just by looking at it, and it's recognizable by most people in the world, since this car was produced, I believe, from 1938 all the way up to 2003. And I also believe it's the most produced car in the world. I believe they produced about 21 or 22 million of these cars, which is very impressive. And another cool thing about this car is that it has an air-cooled engine, which is in the back. It has a 4-speed manual transmission. It's also a very light car. And it shares a lot of the same characteristics as a classic Porsche 911, which also has an air-cooled engine in the back. It has a manual transmission. It's also a very light car. Another really cool thing that I've noticed since I got this car is that I get a lot of elder people come to me, and they start sharing their stories, their memories with me of when they used to own these cars when they were in high school or college, and they tell me what kind of trips they used to take. This car brings different generations together, and you get to start a conversation and you find out pretty cool things. You can see the window, it's kind of like foggy. I believe this can be cleaned out from the inside. There's some paint issue here. It's maybe like bubbling, so I'm not sure what that's from. I'm wondering if maybe some water got through here, maybe corroded this. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know much about these cars at all, so let's see. So the running boards, they're pretty rusty. That's the only part where it has rust besides the front and rear bumpers. And I already received a replacement for these. I'll probably replace them within a couple of days or so. Same thing on the other side, I'll show you. You can see here, also rusted. Another thing that I would like to do to this Beetle is remove the tint. I'll show you from the inside. It's really hard to see, especially at night. I found this Beetle on Facebook Marketplace for $3,000, and I did look at some other ones, but none of those actually were in good condition like this one is for the amount of money that I spent on this car. The other ones had some rust issues, to where this one actually only has some surface rust on the front and rear bumpers, on the running boards, and it's missing some paint on the front trunk and also on the rear deck lid. So far my plans for this car is to, of course, make it pretty again, and most importantly, make it run again. Like I mentioned, there's the paint that's missing here. This car was repainted, I don't know how many years ago, maybe about 7 years ago or so. Looks like they haven't done that good of a job, or maybe just with age it started peeling off. So I'll have the rear deck lid and the front trunk repainted. And there's one small piece here. Also the front bumper needs the rust removed, which I think will be pretty easy. Also these wiper arms are kind of rusty, which I'll just maybe replace or remove the rust if I can. If not, I'll just replace them. They're pretty inexpensive. Here in this like a drainage sort of area for the rain, you can see like the paint is pitting. So I'll probably have this addressed as well when I get the front trunk and the rear deck lid repainted. There are a few dents here which are very minor. I don't know if you can see my camera. This probably won't be my daily driver, especially during winter, just to avoid getting salt, mud on this Beetle, since they tend to rust pretty easily. And I live in Chicago and we do get a lot of snow and there's a lot of salt on roads as well. So I'd like to prevent it as best as I can, and I want to keep this car for quite some time, and I want to maintain it and keep it alive for as long as I can. What's nice about these classic Volkswagens is that the parts are pretty inexpensive. I've ordered quite a few parts from jbugs.com, which I think I'll be able to install all myself, since these cars are pretty easy to work on. So let's move on inside and see what it needs. On the inside it looks pretty decent. The one thing that you notice probably are these cracks on the steering wheel on both sides. There, the mesh here where the speaker is missing. This thing, I don't know what it is. I think it's actually, there was a button for the airbox for the air. If you guys know what it is, please let me know in the comments below. And I think I saw in one of the Beetles that it has like a brake check button that kind of glows red when you press it to make sure your brakes are working okay. It looks like the dashboard is missing this lower trim under the glove box, and I may at one point just replace that. Maybe not, I think it looks fine for now. This is the bottom. The shifter actually has a lot of play. I'll put it in neutral, and it has a lot of play. I don't know if that's normal or not. The headliner is kind of sagging. I may just replace it. It's also a little dirty, and the visors are kind of puffy. I think I'll just get a new set. Okay, this is the back of the car. You can see the headliner. It's kind of sagging. I'll just replace that. It's going to be like 90 bucks on jbugs.com. The seats are okay. We'll need to get a new battery. You see a lot of hair, maybe like horsehair, because I think in those times they used to actually use horsehair to line the seats with. I just hope that there isn't anything wrong with the engine, since the previous owner told me, who sold me the car, that they had a little fire under the deck lid from the engine, and he told me that that was all sorted out and that I shouldn't have any problems. And I really hope that's the case, because I have no skill working on the engines whatsoever, and the only thing that I know how to do is change the oil, and that's very minimal. I would open the front trunk, but I need like another person to help me hold the lever in the glove box for me to open it, because if I go in there myself and try to pull the lever or come back around here, it won't open, it's stuck. Also, what I wanted to mention is that, as far as I know, and also what the owner told me, the car needs a battery, of course, new battery, and it needs fuel lines, which I have already received. And so fuel lines, the battery, probably do an oil change. I need to replace these tires. They're really old. They hold air, but they have some cracks on them, and it's not safe to drive around with this. And I also need to check the brakes, bleed the brakes. This car may actually have an oil leak, which I'm not sure, because it's pretty greasy on the bottom. See, it's kind of greasy here. I noticed it yesterday, and I put like this paper towel on the bottom overnight, and there's nothing on it. It's actually just some dirt. Once I have the car started, and if it leaks oil, then that may be another issue. I did some research yesterday, and it said that it could be leaking from the oil cooler or the rear main seal, or maybe even those push rods. If it comes to that, I may just need to pull the engine. Hopefully I can do it here. But I think once I get it running, I'm sure some things will creep up, you know, some mechanical things. Hopefully not, but we have to be ready for everything. I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to upload more videos for you of my progress, of what it's like to really work on these cars for the first time and what they're like to drive. So don't forget to click on the subscribe button or the bell notification somewhere on this page, and you'll be notified of any new videos that I upload in regards to this Beetle. If you have any suggestions for me of the topics you'd like me to talk about, or kind of videos you'd like me to upload, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So again, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and I hope you guys are well, and I'll talk to you soon.